kind of the main house, the main facility. But then everybody was out there, and we had friends back in the day who had a place out there.
I just love the atmosphere. You know, the food is good, the atmosphere, the different rooms, you can get into, and some comedy out there, and I've seen some good music out there too. So it's a good place.
It's not just one big open room like so many restaurants are today. It's kind of broken up. It's a nice place to take groups. You can even rent out the second floor and host an event there, like a wedding rehearsal reception or something like that.
Yeah, one of the unique attractions in Livingston County. So come on out and check them out. All right, so we had some news. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the German guy that killed the 9 people in Munich yesterday. Another tragedy. Oddly enough, Germany is one of those countries that has very strict gun laws, and how this young gentleman, now they're saying there's no ISIS connection, no terrorist connection. And but I don't know that we can say that yet. You know what I mean? It just bothers me a little bit that they're so quick to say, no, there's no terrorist connection. He's an Iranian descent, but born in Germany. And there was a lady in the McDonald's restaurant who thought she heard him say Allahu Akbar when she came out. So whether it's a lone wolf, whether he's a sick guy with mental brain damage, whatever, the fact for me is he managed to get a gun. So once again, in a country that has very strict gun laws, here's a criminal, a sick person maybe, or a terrorist, whatever it is, he still managed to get a gun in a country where gun laws are not, you're not supposed to get them, which is just crazy to me. When you see that happen here, and Barack Obama likes to blame guns for everything. Doesn't want to say it's a terrorist. Doesn't want to say it's this. He just wants to blame the guns. Livingston County, you guys have great gun laws in most of Livingston County, right?
Well, remember, the gun laws are set by the state. But yeah, it's a very welcoming area, and we have a high percentage of gun ownership, and we were one of the counties that when we went from the may issue to the shall issue, we didn't have issues with that. The county prosecutor at the time disagreed, but he handed his seat over on the county gun board to someone else. We appointed someone else, and it was fine.
Yeah.
But, I've lived in Germany and England and Eastern Europe, and, the gun laws are very restrictive. They're the purview of the police and the military, and they make sure that American service members know that. In England, you have absolutely no ownership of handguns. And if anybody has a long gun for skeet shooting or something, they basically keep it at the club. They don't even try and take it home. And if you have residents who have their own weapons, they have to open their homes for inspection. And so, it's all very tight, but it just points out the fact that this idea that somehow if you took guns away from everybody, we'd be safe is very impractical.
Yeah.
And in the United States, we can't even keep our borders secure from illegal immigrants. And, when humans come in, they need air, oxygen, water, a place to defecate. Well, a gun doesn't need any of that. And you can't even sniff them out with drug dogs like you can drugs. So if we can't keep out illegal immigrants and illegal drugs, how would we ever stop the importation by criminals of weapons?
Right. Yeah, well said. Well said. It just bothers me that people think just removing the guns, and I don't know, they want to make the big scary AR-15, the black assault rifle. It's not an assault rifle. It's just a rifle. It's no different. You put your magazine into it, and it's semi-automatic. It's not a machine gun. So it's just part of that. I always want to blame the Democrats, but it's the progressives on either side that want to kind of control us more. And for me, the Second Amendment is probably the most important amendment because it protects everything else. And when I see a Hillary Clinton and a Tim Kaine who want to eliminate the Second Amendment, because I have no doubt in my mind that if we have a Hillary Clinton as a president, number one, she'll have her 4, and then she'll have another 4. And what will happen when she appoints, a Supreme Court justice that's anti-gun to replace Scalia? Well, now it's over with. You can take whatever gun laws we got, they're going to go to the Supreme Court, and they're going to get overturned. So you can kiss the Second Amendment goodbye, I think, if Hillary Clinton becomes the president of the United States. I can't imagine why anybody would think twice about voting for her unless you're one of those crazy people who believe that guns kill people themselves.
Well, the thing is, in my opinion, I think that we tend to look for the short answer too quickly. Mm-hmm. Just as you described what happened in Munich, everybody wants to know: was it a terrorist? Was it not a terrorist? This or that? The investigation is going to take time, and it requires a lot of resources, but we want our answers quickly. And we want a way to stop the madness, and yet it's just not going to be that easy.
Yeah, it's that immediate. If they want the immediate gratification. Oh,
sure.
We're going to fix this right now, and that's what people think about government all the time. They have all the answers. No, they don't have all the answers. Just putting a new law on the books doesn't always solve a problem, does it?
Absolutely right. And the fact is, it is so easy to impose on someone else if it doesn't affect you.
Right. Yeah,
but that's not the right way to go.
Yeah. Well, Hillary Clinton yesterday picked Tim Kaine, who's ex-governor of Virginia and now senator for Virginia. And for me, the first thought, I kind of knew that he was going to be the pick because I think it's her way of buying off Virginia. She thinks that she'll win Virginia if she picks Tim Kaine. And people may or may not know who Tim Kaine is. Derek, we have track one ready. Do we have that? This is actually from a foreign website, so you can. It's an English website, but you'll hear how they kind of want to talk him up as being positive. But listen to how she describes him. Run that track, Derek.
Tim Kaine is in many ways a perfect vice presidential pick for Hillary Clinton. In Washington, people look at Kaine, who's the senator from Virginia, and they see a bland, less than charismatic figure. But at heart, Kaine is really a passionate social justice liberal with a very moderate demeanor.
I'll bring more partnership and less partisanship to Washington.
He's a deeply Christian man. He's driven by his Catholic faith and Jesuit ideals. He's a Harvard-educated lawyer whose path to public service came through representing death row inmates and victims of housing discrimination in racially divided Richmond.
All right, so right off, the key words for me were social justice, Harvard lawyer. That tells you all you need to know about Herman Cain. He's a redistributionist. This guy's going to go in and tote the party line with the Democrats to redistribute money, buy more votes, do whatever he has to. For me, the pick, it is perfect for Hillary because that's everything she wants. Now, but the fact that he's a political insider is, I think, what's going to probably give the Democratic convention some real problems this week. Now, we saw a GOP convention this week that went stellar. I mean, there were some flag burnings and stuff that got squashed very quickly out. You got to give the police credit in Cleveland, man. They did a great job. And all those departments from all over the country that sent officers there to help out, great job. The police did a fantastic job. And thank the people of Cleveland, I guess, for not allowing this crazy protesting to go on. But I don't know that that's going to be the same for the Philadelphia convention. Have you thought about that at all?
I still think the Bernie supporters are very upset.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they figure the fix is in. They're not being listened to. They're being taken advantage of, which I think the Democratic Party does. I mean, Republicans have done that sometimes too, but I think the Democrats are far more guilty of just assuming that they will get whatever, the woman vote, the minority vote.
Yep.
And so there are some folks that don't see what they would consider progress. So sure, I think so.
Yeah, I'm going to expect that, I hope the Philadelphia Police Department is well prepared, because I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see mass, but I think it's going to happen. I think you're right. I think the Bernie people they want to change. It's funny how on the Republican side and on the Democratic side, people want change. Mm-hmm. The system is rigged, and it is. I think the Republican system was rigged too, but I think Donald Trump managed to push back past that with just his personality, if nothing else. He knew how to promote the media and get things going. But I think that same feeling is on the Democrat side. But it's rigged and it's out of control. There was WikiLeaks. If you go to the Daily Drift, and if you haven't been going to the Daily Drift, do so, www.thedailydrift.com. I've got stories about the WikiLeaks that came up. And the WikiLeaks released thousands of Democratic National Committee emails from Debbie Wasserman Schultz, from Hillary Clinton, and it shows how Debbie Wasserman Schultz was doing everything in her power to keep Bernie Sanders out. And if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, I don't claim to understand why you would be, but if you are a Bernie Sanders supporter, yes, you should be very, very angry because you know what? He had a pretty good shot, I think, of being president of the nominee for the Democrat National Committee if things had not been rigged against him, because he was doing pretty well. Now, people are excited for Bernie. People are excited for Donald Trump, maybe too much so. But for the people for Bernie, they're young. They liked his socialist message, and I think that happens with young kids, especially in college. I don't think you become a conservative until after you've worked for 20 or 30 years and you've seen your paycheck get docked for 30% of your income. At some point, you finally say, "Man, who's taking all my money? I'd rather have less taxes." Young kids coming out of college, they've already gone through their indoctrination with these liberal professors and things. They don't see it because they haven't worked yet. They haven't had any money taken away from them yet. That's the craziest thing. What's your thoughts on Tim Kaine, as the fact that Tim Kaine did the same thing as Bob McDonnell in Virginia? So you remember Bob McDonnell was the Virginia governor who, I think he did a little jail time, didn't he?
He did, but then I believe that they overturned that.
They overturned it. So they put his life through a living hell because he allegedly took gifts, right? And made him guilty. And yet Tim Kaine, come to find out, according to Politico, took over $165,000 in gifts. And that's where we just heard during the break Donald Trump saying Tim McCain is Corrupt Cain. That's his moniker for him. Derek, you got track 2 ready here? All right, listen to this. This is about Tim Kaine and the taking of the money as gifts.
Corruption and lying. Republican candidate Donald Trump's campaign alleges that Democratic rival Hillary Clinton has picked a corrupt official as her vice president. The campaign has nicknamed Virginia Senator Tim Kaine Corrupt Cain, citing a report that he accepted $160,000 in gifts from 2001 to 2009 when he was Virginia's governor.
Okay, so corrupt Cain. You got to love how Donald's, that's just his style. Just pick a name and just keep hammering it. And I think that's working for him. Why not? Why stop now?
I don't think we should be surprised, though. I mean, Hillary's looking for somebody who's her ideological mate.
Yeah.
And she has no problem taking money from people.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And her husband had no problem. And, of course, they just think of that as one of the benefits of winning.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that they don't have a problem with that. They were looking for a VP candidate that didn't hurt them in different ways, but I don't think they consider it as a negative. It's like, remember, she came from Chicago. It's Chicago politics. Those are the benefits of winning.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to get financial rewards.
Yeah, it's amazing how the Clintons just epitomize corruption and crony capitalism. I mean, they're so tied in with Wall Street and foreign governments and the Clinton Foundation. Now, did you hear a couple of weeks ago, I talked about it, and of course I had it on the Daily Drift, there was a former UN Secretary General who was going to testify against the Clinton Foundation and crushed his own throat, allegedly, like a month ago now. And that was just shortly before he was supposed to testify. So the old Clinton body count, as they say, is still growing even as we speak. And it kind of makes you wonder when James Comey. Did you watch the James Comey speech?
I did not.
For most of that speech, I thought for sure he was going to throw the indictment down. I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually going to happen, because he made the case for it.
Right.
And then at the very end, he said, but we're not going to recommend charges. And I thought, well, he either got bought off or got threatened or both,
I saw the excerpt. I was very disappointed. I was really holding out hope that the FBI would do the right thing. Yeah,
I'm still hoping that some insiders in the FBI, if I were an FBI employee, I'd be outraged. I would just be absolutely outraged. What is the point? What is the absolute point to that? Yeah,
and having worked with classified information for almost 3 decades, I mean, I know, and everybody else that served that did that understands what would happen to us if we did a fraction of the things that she's acknowledged doing.
Yeah.
Acknowledged. Not to mention all the things that she's accused of, but the things that she's said she's done. And, I have friends who say that they've seen those emails and that there would be no question in anyone's mind that they are classified.
Yeah.
And the fact that she just wanted to hide things from public view. And, it's just astounding. It's disheartening. I'm retired from the Army now. However, I still have a lot of friends. I was at a change of command ceremony and a promotion ceremony 2 weekends ago. And I talked to those folks, and I give them all the credit in the world for staying in.
Right.
it's serving under an administration that has such a double standard and doesn't seem to value their lives, because that's really